It is a dream come true for my picture book to have a home at Candlewick. I grew up looking for back home on the shelves in my classroom. I wanted to read a story about a child with Haitian immigrant parents who could only visit her land of origin through the stories her father told, because that was my own story. Toni Morrison, one of my beloved and revered literary ancestors, once instructed, if there's a book that you want to read, but it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it. There were no books in my teachers' classroom libraries that reflected my story, and this lack of representation impacted how I saw myself, my family, and my culture. Still, as a child, I loved to read. My father worked as a school janitor, and he always welcomed the gifts of books that teachers would give him. We often visited the big, beautiful Brooklyn Library on the weekends. Yet none of those books reminded me of our life, and I realized that my favorite book was my dad because I loved the stories that he would tell. I was inspired to write back home when teaching writing workshop to first graders. My own inner child emerged to tell her stories, and I spent 9 years engaging in the writing process, getting feedback, and refining what I wanted to share about this story that is so near and dear to my heart because it represents me. When I was a little girl, I would wait up for my dad to come home between work shifts to hear one of his stories about Haiti, his homeland in Haiti. All of his stories began with Lakai, which means back home. It was a joy to see how he would light up no matter how exhausted he was from work, and these stories were a grounding force for my identity development. As a Haitian American, I know the power of family stories and how they can help people to preserve their culture, live with personal integrity, transcend their circumstances, and author their own lives. I have yet to visit Haiti, and while I trust that one day I'll be able to go there with my dad, I know that Haiti is alive and well inside of me because of the stories my father told me. I'm hoping that children who read this book are encouraged to be interested in their family stories, are inspired to tell their own stories, are motivated to recognize the richness of their lands of origin. And I am hoping that caregivers and educators who read this picture book realize that they can use this text as a mirror to affirm children's experiences with immigrant families, as a window to support children to learn about other cultures, and that they can help children to celebrate and value the oral traditions of their culture or another's, and help children to use various modalities to tell their stories.